What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Feud. I am Stone with Mason and Paul as usual, and today we are talking our Waiver Target Tuesday targets of the week. Who you should be going after if you made the playoffs in your fantasy football league, or if you're playing for the toilet bowl. It's alright if you're playing for the toilet bowl. We are too in some leagues. You're not alone.
Yes, we
So
are.
go after these guys if you want to win your leagues. We're gonna start off with Taysom Hill at the quarterback position. He has been pretty good as of recent. Let one of you guys take over and talk about him though, if you want to.
Taysom Hill, the past 2 weeks starting, he's produced 26.3 fantasy points. This week, 15 to 21, 175 yards, 11 carries, 73, and 2 touchdowns, as well as 2 fumbles. The 73 rushing yards, I would say, is a little inflated only because I think he had like a 40-yard run, 40-yard touchdown
It
run to
was,
basically
yeah.
seal the game. Um, he's rostered in 57.2% of leagues, so you might have a chance at getting him, you might not. And then last week against Dallas, he had 264 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Again, 11 carries, 101 yards, no touchdowns for 20.6 fantasy points. So kind of take that with a grain of salt. He's going to get you yards based on his rushing, but he's also probably going to get you turnovers as well, considering he has 6 in 2 games.
All right, yeah.
Heck
Moving on
yeah.
to the next guy, we got Jakeem Grant, Bears standout as of recent. The new Devin Hester on the team? Question marks
Question
everywhere.
mark?
All right, we'll slow the roll on that one a little bit. Although he did just take the record for punt return, longest punt return in Bears history, 97 yards. And this
Beautiful.
is, I guess, a little bit, you kind of have to play off of his not trick playability, but his special teams, as well as just kind of being a gadget guy. We were kind of just talking, and I feel like he's almost taking the Tariq Cohen role. Tariq Cohen obviously has been hurt since last year, like week 4 with the ACL. Thought he was coming back this year, didn't happen. He had
Dude can't get back.
24.1 fantasy points. In the last 2 weeks, he's had 41.3 fantasy points. He's rostered in 0.2%, not 2%, 0.2%. He had 1 catch, 46 yards for a touchdown. That's pretty good efficiency. 3 punt returns for 131 yards and a touchdown. That's pretty good efficiency. I feel like I said, it's going to have to play to his trick playability, but also because he's fast, he can kind of take the wide receiver screens. I think he might be a solid pickup.
All right, yeah. And
Beautiful.
speaking on another receiver, McLaurin last week went down with a pretty nasty concussion. Feel really bad for him. But who picked up for him in his absence? It was Cam Sims. That guy looked really good in his absence. Who's got some little take on him?
I'll go 3 in a row here. Cam Sims, 15.9 fantasy points. Like you said, Terry McLaurin went down with concussion on a great effort, going up over 2 defenders to try to bring one in. He is rostered in 0% of leagues, which obviously makes sense. He had 3 catches for 69 yards and a touchdown. And that touchdown, I don't know if anybody watched this game,
Oh yeah.
but if you did, you were treated with an amazing play. Kind of toe tap. I guess it wasn't a toe tap. He got 1 foot down, then he came down with the knee and elbow simultaneously on the edge of the end zone over Trevin Diggs, one of the best corners in the league right now, playing out of his mind. He basically went up and mossed him. But I think as long as Terry McLaurin is out in concussion protocol, if he does continue to miss time going into next week, I do believe Cam Sims will probably be the number 1 target for this offense.
Cam Sims has a lot of talent too. I've been saying that for a little while now. I always thought he had a decent amount of talent and deserved more playtime. With McLaurin and concussion protocol and Curtis Samuel not being what everyone expected him to be, I think, and Logan Thomas being on IR, like it's just Cam Sims, and I think we're gonna get to
Yeah.
see him actually kind of flourish a little bit if McLaurin doesn't end up playing next week. Moving on to the next receiver. This is more of a flyer guy. He has his ups and down weeks. It's Donovan Peoples-Jones for the Cleveland Browns, who's got a little bit of a take on him.
I'll go.
I'll take
No,
this one over, guy.
I'm just kidding.
Fine, take it.
No,
Whatever.
I'm
I
good.
like Donovan Peoples-Jones.
I'm
All right.
kidding.
So, guys, this is DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones. I love his name. I love the hype he brings to this offense. He's been coming out and saying he is ready the past few weeks. He stepped up against Baltimore. 5 catches, 90 yards. had a great game in the win over Baltimore. He's rostered in 9% of leagues right now. As this team just keeps pushing for the playoffs, this whole offense is starting to get in sync now. We had Austin Hooper come back. Jarvis Landry had his first touchdown of the year. It's looking better and better each week. And as long as they keep in sync with this, I know Stone said Peoples-Jones has been kind of irrelevant because sometimes he'll have a good game, sometimes he won't. I think it depends on this offense, and he can be kind of that guy that goes out and gets 5 catches for 90 yards each week. He's a big guy. He's a stud. I think he will only blossom into a bigger role as the year goes on and within the coming years. But that's really all I got to say on Peoples-Jones.
If I can make one quick comparison for this guy, I think he's going to turn into what they expected OBJ to be. He's fast. I don't think he has like that breakaway top end speed, but he's a deep play guy. And he has the ability to get you a low amount of catches for a high amount of yards.
Yeah.
You know who I like on that offense that, and I'm not telling you to pick him up, but somebody they need to utilize a little more. I like Anthony Schwartz because if any of you guys listening know me from the first episode that we had, I'm a track guy. I used to run track. Anthony Schwartz in high school was one of the fastest kids ever, essentially. Like, he is one of the fastest high school sprinters there is, and he is an absolute stud, and he would burn anybody on a defense. So I want to see him get more involved in that offense. I like him a lot. So
let's go.
Don't pick him up, though. He doesn't play.
On, baby.
Moving on to the next guy. Rashaad Penny, he had 27 fantasy points. We talked about him in Monday Medals, and now we're talking about him here. We need to pick him up in leagues.
Guys, I'll take this over, Paul. Calm down for a second. All right. So, Rashaad Penny, I said it previously. The guy has talent. The previous first-round pick finally got his shot. Pete Carroll promised to give the guy touches. He fulfilled it. He had 16 touches, 137 yards, 2 scores against the Texans. I know it's minimal. When you think about the Texans, you're like, yeah, whatever. But it's still the NFL. Rashaad Penny finally had that game that we've been waiting for. Going into the foreseeable future, he could be their back. So, going into the playoffs, Week 17, he plays Detroit Lions, guys. Be excited about that. Go pick this guy up. He should probably be one of your number one waiver targets just because of if he can keep getting the ball 15 to 20 times a game, he's going to have some relevance. So, go take the chance on him, guys. That's all I'm saying.
He is one of 3 guys that should be your number one claim, depending on what position you need. If you need a running back, he should be your number one. But there's 2 other guys that deserve a number one claim as well as 2 different receivers. The first one being KJ Osborn. KJ Osborn, 3 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Rostered in 26.5% of leagues. This guy gives you great potential in your fantasy playoffs or toilet bowls, whatever you're in, to go out and win you some leagues possibly. I mean, he had 17.3 fantasy points. There's nothing more you can ask for out of a guy that's, usually a third-string receiver. With Ian being out, KJ Osborn's the man that's going to pick up that slack. He had that big touchdown that he was kind of dependent on this last Thursday night, but don't expect him to not be as underutilized as he was this last week. He will get more targets than what he did. He was good at the beginning of the year, even with Thean playing. Now with Thean out of the picture, I think he's going to be a steady 15 points a week. He could definitely be that reliable. But
yeah, I like that. Can I add one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Last week, if you missed out on the chance to grab him off of waivers, he was rostered in 4.2% of leagues. Now, like Stone just said, he's up to 26.5. After this performance of the 3 catches, 83 yards, and a touchdown, I think somebody will be looking to grab him, and that's why he's at the top of our list and one of our number one waiver claims.
Yep. And our number one guy is the same guy who was number one last week, and it seems like the week before that, and the week before that, and the week before that. Don't know how he's still only rostered in 10.5% of leagues. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. We've been saying it for a while now, and now even with all these injuries like to T.J. Hawkinson and stuff, it shows you that Amon-Ra's a guy. 8 catches, 73 yards. Not the most eye-popping stat line, but that's 15.5 fantasy points. He is. I think he's in the same boat as KJ Osborn. He's going to be getting 15 points down the line in your fantasy playoffs. Personally, I prefer Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think this guy's a stud. I think he's somebody that you can plug in your flex in your fantasy football playoffs, and he will not let you down. He is very talented, and he's essentially all they got left on that Detroit offense at this point with how injured they are. Hawkinson didn't play last week. DeAndre Swift, he is probably just going to get shut down for the rest of the year because why play him?
It's gonna really make me cry. I'm going to cry.
There's no point in playing DeAndre Swift anymore for the Lions, so you might as well shut him down, get him healthy. Amon-Ra St. Brown is that guy. Him and Josh Reynolds actually both are pretty solid right now. I think Amon-Ra is the number one there in Detroit, pretty obviously.
He is.
He's a good replacement to them losing Kenny Galladay, and I wouldn't necessarily say losing Kenny Galladay because if you watch that Giants game against the Chargers, dropped about 7 balls. So not an impressive player anymore. I don't know what happened. He was so good at Detroit.
He got paid, man.
Yeah,
he got paid.
Yes, he did.
That's all right.
That's all we got to say, though. Thank you guys for listening to our Target Tuesday. Paul wants to say something, but I'll let him say it.
Real quick. Amon-Ra St. Brown, for the second week in a row, he's had double-digit targets. I believe 12 both weeks. So, again, that is trending upwards for him. And he is becoming a focal point of this offense with Jared Goff.
That's why he's my number one over KJ Osborn because of the targets. He has much more of an opportunity to get those stats as opposed to KJ Osborn having a lot less targets. But KJ Osborn could have had 2 touchdowns in that game too, so that we could have been in a whole different boat if he had that second touchdown. Thank you guys for listening. If you liked the video, like it, comment down below who your waiver targets of the week are, and subscribe to the channel. As Paul is telling you, you can't click that button. Click the one right below him, and it's right above the description. It's a big red button. You hit it, you get to watch all our videos. It's a good idea. I highly suggest you guys doing that.
Best decision you'll ever make in your life.
Yes, you will not be disappointed by our content. And
you'll see our ugly faces every day.
And we're streaming on Saturdays from now on. We're going to stream some tier
go.
lists this week. We're going to be streaming. We want to interact with you guys, ask us questions. We're here live on Saturdays. We haven't figured out a time just yet, but we're looking at 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to watch that, go ahead. But we're going to be done. I'm giving things over to Mason, and he is going to break us out as he usually does.
Fantasy few out, baby. Let's go.